So this right here is a delicious vanilla chocolate frosted cake, made healthy vegan style. No oil, no wheat, and no refined sugar. A lot of you asked for a healthy cake, and this is it. And it's even nut-free. And today, I'm going to show you how to make your own. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to use to make this healthy vegan cake. But before we do, I want to talk about that very thing, healthy vegan cake, because I'm sure a lot of people will watch and push back and say, wait a minute, cake, that's healthy vegan? But I want to talk about that. So now, the healthiest of healthy vegan are your salads, your bowls, and fruits and vegetables and those kind of things. But I had a lot of people write me and say, hey, I would love to have a healthy vegan cake. What makes this a healthy vegan cake is what we're using. If this were a traditional cake right now, the ingredients that you would see in front of me would be things like butter and oil and eggs and refined white sugar, refined white flour. These are things that definitely cause health issues when eaten consistently. But one thing I love about this cake, guys, is the simplicity. 5 ingredients here. Let's talk about what they are. We're using oat flour instead of refined white flour. We're using oat milk instead of, regular milk. We're using dates to sweeten it. And a lot of people say, well, look, dates have sugar too. And that's true. But if you're going to sweeten something, if you're going to eat something that's sweet or drink something that's sweet, there's nothing healthier than dates to do that. Unlike refined white sugar and other artificial sweeteners, dates have antioxidants, nutrients, and fiber. It is definitely the healthiest way to sweeten drinks, desserts, or anything else for that matter. It's a whole fruit. We're going to use some vanilla, and we're going to use some baking powder. So if you want a cake and you want a healthier version compared to the traditional cakes, this healthy vegan option is the way to go. All right, let's put it together. Okay, so I'm using pitted medjool dates here because they're softer and easier to blend and get nice and creamy, but any kind of dates will do. Okay, so I've got my ingredients. Now it's just a matter of blending it, and you may be looking at this thinking, man, that's a lot like making date paste, and it really is. Although, a date paste is just dates and water, but it's the same kind of concept. We're just trying to make these dates nice and smooth, and then we're going to go to the next step. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe below. Okay, so I've got my mixture blended. Let's open it and see what the consistency looks like. Okay, and as you can see, our mixture now, I blended it really well. It looks nice and smooth, and this is what we want. Let's go to our next step. All right, so now I'm just going to get my dry ingredients mixed together, my oat flour as well as the baking powder, before we add our date mixture to this. Now, with the oat flour in particular, you'll see that it has some clumps here. So I'm just going to take my whisk and I'm going to whisk it a little bit lightly just to get these clumps out. And that way, when I add the date paste, there won't be as many clumps and I don't have to overmix my batter once I combine the two. So I'm going to take a little time now just to break up these clumps here and get this nice and smooth. Now keep in mind that because this cake is so easy to make, it's great for an impromptu dessert, or if you'd find yourself having to make a cake on short notice, no problem. It's that simple. Okay, so I've got that done. Now we're going to combine our ingredients, our date paste mixture, with our dry ingredients here. Now it's important with this batter not to overmix it, or it can make the oat flour become too gummy, and that's something that we definitely don't want to happen. All right, so now I've got my batter mixed. Let's get it into our pan, and then we're going to get it into the oven. So I'm adding this batter to a springform pan that's lined with parchment paper, but truthfully, any pan will do. Now once you get your batter in the pan, you just want to smooth the top and get it nice and even, and then it's ready for the oven. Okay, so now we've got our batter in our pan here, and now it's just a matter of getting in the oven and cooking it. And once we get it in the oven, we're going to turn our attention to making a delicious frosting to put over this cake. Okay, so we got our cake in the oven, and now we're going to make our frosting. Now, of course, the cake was only 5 ingredients, very simple ingredients. This is even more simplistic because we're only using 3 ingredients here, along with some water. We're using dates, tahini, and some cocoa powder. Now, the dates are in the cake, dates are in the frosting as well. For those who are concerned about sugar, know your situation. Now for me, I eat a very healthy diet and I'm very active. So I could eat a healthy vegan cake like this with these good ingredients and I could have 2 or 3 pieces Not that I will, but I might. But I could do that and I wouldn't have issues. But it's important to know your particular situation. If you're pre-diabetic, if your insulin sensitivity is questionable, then it's important that you know what your limitations are. But for most people without those concerns, a piece of healthy vegan cake sweetened with dates, the ultimate sweetener, one piece is not going to be an issue. It's important that you know your situation and your limitations. All right, let's put this together. Okay, so I'm using tahini here because I want to keep this frosting and the cake nut-free. But if you have a different preference, any seed or nut butter will do. Then we're going to add some warm water and blend it into a nice fudgy frosting. Now, since this frosting is pretty thick, you'll want to stop and scrape the sides down as needed. All right, so I've got my frosting blended and I've got it nice and smooth. I wanted to show you how it looks here, just like a traditional frosting would look. And so we're ready to go. We're going to wait for our cake to finish baking. Let it cool really well. That's an important part. And then we'll get it frosted. Wait 10 to 15 minutes before removing your cake from the pan. Then allow it to fully cool before adding the frosting. Okay, so now that I've got my cake out of the pan, I've got it ready to go onto the plate, but I'm not going to sit it like you see it here. I'm actually going to flip it over so that the bottom, which is nice and flat, becomes our top side, because that's going to be the nicest side to put the frosting on. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe below. All right, so now it's time for my favorite part. I love frosting cakes. Something about the decorative part of it is just my favorite thing. So that's what I'm going to do next. Now, the way you choose to frost your cake is definitely a personal preference, but the one thing I can tell you is that this combination of vanilla cake and chocolate frosting is a classic, and the whole family will love and appreciate it. And with ingredients like this, there is zero guilt attached. All right, so now I've got my cake frosted. It's looking nice, and I want to add a couple of final touches. First of all, I'm going to cut some strawberries to put on top of cakes. Now, strawberries work with a lot of desserts, and when they do, I usually use them. Strawberries, blueberries, any kind of berries, because they're so healthy, and they can even decrease the amount of blood sugar spikes that you get from eating things that have sugar in them. So berries are super healthy. They taste good. It's going to make it look better. So it's a great choice. That's what I'm going to do now, is cut some strawberries. Now, even though I'm using berries, of course you could omit them altogether and just have a classic chocolate frosted vanilla cake, which would still be a really good dessert. All right, so now we've got our chocolate frosted vanilla cake all completed, topped with strawberries. It's looking beautiful. I can't wait to try this. I don't eat cake this often, but of course I'm going to try this for you. It's so simple and it's on point every time. This tastes great without the eggs, without the oil, without the refined sugar and refined wheat. This is a great healthy option that is quick and easy, and you'll absolutely love it. I suggest you try this. So if you're new to my channel and you're not sure how to get the recipe, look below the video and tap on the word more. You'll see the beginning of the recipe. Then tap on the word more a second time and you'll see the full recipe, and then you can begin to make your own.